Ladies and gentlemen, federal employees, welcome back. Today we're talking about what your life insurance, your FEGLI, is actually costing you in dollars, in cents, so you know exactly what it's going to cost you now, in the future, and if you want to keep it into retirement, to see if it's still worth it for you. Some people are shocked when they look at what they're actually paying to say, okay, that's not worth it anymore, or to say, yeah, I think that's still worth it. So that's what we're going to dive into today. If you're new here, so good to have you. My name is Dallin Haas. I'm a financial planner and CFP who loves working with federal employees and helps you guys retire confident and comfortable, all that stuff all day long. I absolutely love it. So let's jump in. I'm sharing my screen here. So if you're on the podcast, go check out the video. You're going to want to see this. But I'm walking you through the different types of FEGLI that there are and what it's going to cost you over time. So what we're going to start with here is we're going to start with the FEGLI Basic. So there's actually 4 different types of FEGLI. There's Basic, A, B, and C. We're going to talk through what they are simply. We're going to put it simple to make it easy for you. Talk through what it covers, how much it costs, and how it changes over time. Okay, so let's start with FEGLI Basic. So FEGLI Basic is the one that covers basically your salary's worth of coverage. It's your salary plus a little bit, okay? Basically your salary's worth. So if you make about 100 grand, it's about 100 grand worth of coverage that FEGLI Basic is going to provide for you. Now, this is the only type of FEGLI that the government actually pitches in and pays a piece of. So if you see here on my screen, on a biweekly basis, you're going to pay about 16 cents, okay? 16 cents for every $1,000 worth of coverage. So again, if you make 100 grand, then for every $1,000, okay, so what we'd want to do is times 16 cents, multiply 16 cents by 100 if you make 100 grand, right? Because it's 16 cents for every $1,000 worth of coverage, okay? If you want to do the math for you, take your salary, divide it by 1,000, right? So 100 grand divided by 1,000 is 100. 100 multiplied by 16 cents is $16. So if your salary is about 100 grand, you'd pay about $16 every 2 weeks for that amount of insurance, for basic insurance. Now, this price does not change over time. If you're actively employed, it doesn't matter if you're 20 years old, it doesn't matter if you're 65 years old, you're going to pay this same price, 16 cents for every $1,000 worth of coverage. But obviously, as your salary goes up with pay raises, locality, whatever, as it goes up, so will the cost of this because it's per $1,000 worth of coverage. So for every $1,000 of a pay increase you get, you're going to pay 16 more cents. Okay? That's how it works because as your salary goes up, so does how much the insurance will cover. If you died, they'd pay out more because it's based on your salary. Okay? Most people have this. Now, as you see here, USPS actually pays for the employee portion of FEGLI Basic. So for USPS employees, you don't pay anything for this, but for everyone else, you do. Okay? You do. So if you want to keep this into retirement, here are these. Now, I'm not going to focus on this now. I'll get to what happens in retirement in just a second. Okay? Now, the second type of FEGLI is Part A. Now, this is a weird type of insurance. It's a weird one, but let me talk you through it. Option A is $10,000 worth of coverage. Okay, so if you die, your family gets $10,000. There's no way to increase it for option A. There's none of that. Okay, it's just $10,000, and the price does change over time, as you see here. So if you're younger than 35, then it's 20 cents for every $1,000 worth of coverage, or not for every $1,000 worth of coverage. It's 20 cents in general for the $10,000 worth of coverage, right? And the price goes up over time as you age, okay? So again, it costs you $1.80 every 2 weeks between 55 and 59. So it's cheap, but it's not a lot of coverage, okay? Not a lot of coverage. So keep that in mind. Okay, now this is the kicker. This is the big one. We're talking now about option B. Option B is the one that can get really, really expensive over time. Option B, as you see, the price changes based on your age. The older you get, the more expensive it has. Now, option B is the one that you can get a multiple of your salary. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So if you have basic insurance, which again is your salary's worth of coverage, and you have option B that is 5 times your salary, then you have a total of 6 times your salary of coverage of life insurance. So if you make 100 grand, that's about 600 grand worth of coverage. If you had all of that, not everyone does, but you check what you have, right? Option B, the price goes up over time. If you're 35 years or younger, it's 2 cents for every $1,000 worth of coverage. But as you see, as you start getting into your 40s, 50s, 60s, the price starts to go crazy. Okay? As you see, the price starts to double in your late 40s, into your 50s, 60s. It basically doubles every 5 years, close to it. Okay? The price almost doubles every 5 years. So when you turn 55, boom, you get popped up into this bracket and you pay almost double for the same amount of insurance. That's how it works, because they know, hey, the older you get, the more likely you are to die, the more we're going to charge you. That's how the system works. Okay, that's how it works. So you have to understand, hey, if I am 60 years old, I'm going to keep paying the price I have until I'm 65, then boom, it's going to pop up a little bit more. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That is how option B works. Again, it's a multiple of your salary. You can elect that multiple. You already did probably by the time you're watching this, and the price goes up as you age. Okay? Now, option C. This is the last type of FEGLI, and this is not insurance on your life. It's an insurance on your spouse's / kid's life. It's a small amount of insurance. The max you can do is 25 grand. It's just small little things, and the price is relatively small. Okay, the price is relatively small. Again, you can do anywhere from like 5,000 to 25 grand worth of coverage, and the price is small. I'm not going to focus on this a lot. You're welcome to get this if you want. It's not that big of a deal. It's not a lot of coverage either. Okay, so keep that in mind. So that is the different types of FEGLI and how the prices change while you are working. Now, when you retire, the rules and the prices sometimes change. Now, the easiest way to figure out how it's going to change for you is actually to go to what they call the FEGLI Calculator. OPM has a calculator that's actually pretty darn good. It's good, okay? Not everything OPM produces is good, but this is actually pretty good. Where if you go here, if you just type in FEGLI Calculator, it'll be the first hit on Google. So look it up. Long story short, you can stick in your information, what's your base pay, what's your age, whatever, and you can calculate. It'll show you, hey, if you elected these sort of things in retirement, this is what it's going to cost you. So I recommend, if I was you, if you're approaching retirement, trying to figure out what you should pick when it comes to what you should take into retirement, what it's actually going to cost you into retirement, then use this calculator. It's going to be the easiest way to figure it out. Now, I've got other videos on which options you probably do want to take into retirement. You can go check those out, because again, there's lots of parts to FEGLI. But long story short, answer this question first before you decide anything else. Do you need the life insurance still? Do you? Do you have enough in your TSP? Do you have enough assets in general where your spouse and your kids are going to be okay? If you don't have dependents, do you need life insurance? I don't know, right? That's the question you have to answer yourself, so you understand what you're paying for, and do you still need it? Because there's a time when we probably all need life insurance, and there's a time when we really don't. So keep that in mind. You don't need to pay for something you don't need. You don't have to, right? You're welcome to if you want to, but you don't have to. You can get rid of it at any time. The only thing is you can't increase your FEGLI at any time. You can't, okay? The only times you can is during an open season, which isn't scheduled, okay? It's not scheduled. The last one I think was 2016 or something. It's not scheduled. It's not regular or anything. So generally speaking, when you get rid of FEGLI, you're doing it for good, saying, hey, I don't predict I'm going to ever need this insurance again. I'm going to get rid of it or lower it or whatever, right? So I hope that's helpful. Hopefully that gives you some context over what these things cost and how the price changes over time. If you have any questions, I do have other videos on FEGLI if you want more information about how this works and what most people do for them. So hope that's helpful. Have an incredible rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.